Hey fam, welcome back. In today's video, you voted and I delivered. We have a blush collection with a small declutter, and I am so excited to share this video with you guys. I posted a poll on my community tab, so please do check out my community tab. I want to do a lot of polls going forward to determine which videos you guys are most interested in. You guys always keep me so inspired, and thank you so much to those of you who voted. Our second runner-up was the Creating the Urban Decay Wild Greens palette with singles, so I definitely plan to do that video next, but I also am hoping to have another poll up next week to see what other videos you guys might be interested in, so please stay tuned for that. And if you enjoyed this video while you're watching, please feel free to give it a like. It really does help me out. And if you'd like to see more content from me, I'd love to have you subscribe. I hope that you guys enjoyed this blush collection with a small declutter. So without further ado, if this video sounds interesting to you, go ahead and stay tuned. We're going to get into it right now. So today we're going to be tackling my blush drawer, and as you can see, it's because it is desperately needed. So what I want to do with you guys is take everything out of this drawer. I'm going to bring this all into the other room. We're going to go through it. I want to declutter something. I don't even know. So many of these products are beloved and I'd like to keep everything, but as you can see, I just really don't have the space for it. So I'm going to try to have a get real moment with myself today, figure out a better way to store everything, figure out which products I can pass along, and let's go ahead and get started. And then while we have the drawer empty, I'm going to go ahead and wipe this down. So these are essentially my liquid and cream blushes. I don't see myself decluttering a large amount of blushes, just to be totally honest. This will be a very small declutter. I just want to try to make better use out of the space that I have and just have better access to the products, not have like two layers on top of each other in that drawer. It's hard to know where to start. I guess I'll just start with some products that I know I won't be decluttering. So first we have the Charlotte Tilbury Glowgasm Beauty Light Wand High Blushes. I have Pinkgasm and Peachgasm, and those are those two shades. They are so beautiful. For sure keeping those. I also absolutely love the Flower Beauty Blush Bombs. I have 5 shades. I have Spiced, Cheeky, Pinched, Cinnamon, and Nectar. So we have Cheeky, Spiced, Pinched, Cinnamon, and Nectar. I also adore these Nude Sticks blushes. I have Naughty and Spice, Sweet Peach, and Bareback, as well as Sunkissed and another little mini Sweet Peach. So we have Bareback, Sweet Peach Peony, Naughty and Spice, and Sunkissed. And I think for our first declutter, I'll go ahead and pass along this mini of Sweet Peach Peony. I loved it so much that I bought the full size, but I don't know that I need 2 of them. So I think I'm going to preemptively put this in the declutter pile. Next, I have 2 minis from Milk Makeup. I'm not sure what shade this is. I want to say it's like Work or Perk. And then I also have a little glow blush in the shade Flare. So we have, I think, Work or Perk, one of the two, and Flare. I think I'm going to go ahead and pass along Flare. I'm not crazy about this formula or the color. 2 declutters. Next, I know I want to keep my M Cosmetics Serum blushes. We have Rose Milk, Peachy Peach, and Venetian Rose. Next, I have 2 Glossier Cloud Paints. I have Dawn and Storm. So we have Dawn and Storm. I also have a couple blushes from Rare Beauty. I have Bliss, Joy, and Adore. So we have Bliss, Joy, and Adore. I also have this Bare Minerals Bare Pro Glow highlighter, but I use this as a blush mixer. This is also in the shade Joy. And I like to mix this with the shade Bliss from Rare Beauty. And that is the shade Joy from Bare Minerals. I also have 1 blush stick from Colourpop. I really love this shade. This is in 25-8, and that is the shade. I also have 2 cream blushes from Ofra. I have Authentic and Loyal, and we have Authentic and Loyal. I also really like the tones of these Alabaster blushes. These are the Color Veils. I have Consume and Entice, and this is Consume and Entice. I'm also still really excited by the Tower 28 blushes. I have Magic Hour and Power Hour. And this is Magic Hour and Power Hour. I also absolutely love this Ritual de Fille blush in Desire, and that is Ritual de Fille Desire. Then I see this blush from Butanio Beauty. This is the Butter Lip and Cheek Balm in the shade Peach Blush. And that's this shade here. I'm not crazy about this formula. It's a little bit stiff. So I think I'm going to declutter this one. And one last one before I clean off this arm. We have the Lime Crime Software Blush in Flash Drive. This one is a definite keep, and that's the shade Flash Drive. All right, next let's look at these Colourpop Super Shock blushes. I have Between the Sheets, Birthday Suit, and Prenup. So we have Between the Sheets, Birthday Suit, and Prenup. I'm gonna keep all three. And then let's check out these Lila B blushes. I have Be Lovely, Be Darling, and Be Sassy. So we have Be Lovely, Be Darling, and Be Sassy. I'm kind of tempted to declutter Be Sassy because I don't tend to reach for very pink blushes like that one, but I do recall wearing this once and really enjoying it recently. I remember making a comment in one of my videos where I was like, I really was intimidated by this color, but after putting it on, I really like it. So I'm gonna put this one in the maybe pile, but I'm gonna keep these two. Next, let's check out these Fenty cream blushes. I have three of them. I've got Fenty Glow, Petal Poppin', and then this is the Fenty Glow Diamond Balm highlighter. So we have Petal Poppin', Fenty Glow, and the Fenty Glow Diamond Balm. Next, moving into these MAC Glow Play blushes, I have four of them. I've got Totally Synced, that's Peachy, Rosy Does It, and So Natural. So we have So Natural, that's Peachy, Totally Synced, and Rosy Does It. I'm definitely keeping So Natural and that's Peachy. Totally Synced is definitely like a funky lavender shade, but I think it's so unique. I want to hang on to it. Rosy Does It, again, I am tempted to declutter because I don't tend to reach for these types of shades, but I do want to have some maybe of this type of shade for certain looks in my collection if I do something more like purple leaning. So I'm going to put this one in the maybe pile, and then I'm going to hang on to these three. The next obvious keep is my Rose Ink blush. I just bought this, so I'm not decluttering it. This is the shade Foxglove, and that is such a beautiful like terracotta shade, like a burnt peach. I'm also obviously keeping my Melt Cream Blush Light in the shade Polished. It's a really beautiful shade. Let's check out these e.l.f. blushes real quick. So I have Bali, Fiji, and Bahamas. So we have Bali, Fiji, and Bahamas. I think they're all really beautiful. I really like both of these Bare Minerals Bounce and Blur blushes. I have Pink Sky and Coral Cloud. So we have Pink Sky and Coral Cloud. Next, let's check out these two Kosas blushes. I have Velvet Melon and Eighth Muse, both in the high intensity formula. So we have Eighth Muse and Velvet Melon. Eighth Muse again is in that kind of tone that I'm not so sure about. However, I really like this formula. It's really like velvety and creamy, and I think I'm gonna hang on to both of those. Next, I have this Rhubarb and Rose Creamy Lip and Cheek palette from Seraphine Botanicals. This is technically gonna go with my blush palettes. However, I wanted to go ahead and swatch these with the other cream blushes because this is a full cream blush palette. The shades don't have individual names, but I'm gonna swatch them for you. I also cleaned that up a little bit. But here are all the shades in that palette. We've got some kind of cool tone pinks here. I'm much more drawn to like these shades, but I think it's a pretty cool little palette. Next, I have a blush from Lancome. This is the Macaroon blusher, and it's in the shade Coral Whipped Cream. It's almost like a fluorescent coral. It's really pretty. We also have two blushes from Wander Beauty. I've got the Double Date in Rendezvous and the Double Date in Sweet Talker. So this is Rendezvous and this is Sweet Talker. Next, we have one from Holika Holika. This is the Jelly Dough blusher, and it is in Korean, so I'm not sure of the shade name, but it's basically like a coral color. And that is the shade here from Holika Holika. It's kind of like a melon. And then our last one in this little box is from Milani. This is the Cheek Kiss in Nude Kiss. That is such a gorgeous tone. And then let's finish up the cream blushes with what we have left in this little bin. First, from Floss, we have Sandals. And here is the swatch of Sandals. We also have this beautiful rose blush from Winky Lux. This is in the shade Tea Time, and that is the shade Tea Time. I also have one of the cheeky stamps from Kaja. This is in 07 Spicy, and here's the shade Spicy. Next, we have from Rodial or Rodial, we have the Blush Drops Liquid Blush in Frosted Pink, and that is the shade Frosted Pink. I have the NYX Sweet Cheeks in Almost Famous, and that is Almost Famous. I have the Maybelline Cheek Heat in Nude Burn, and that is the shade Nude Burn. And then the last one before we get into the Juicy Pang blushers is from Milani. This is the Cheek Kiss Liquid Blush in Rose Romance, and that is the shade Rose Romance. Now we're gonna go ahead and swatch these Juicy Pang blushers. They do have names on the Yes Style site. However, Everything's in Korean on the bottom, so I just wrote down the code that's used when you're ordering them. So I don't know what the actual names are, but you can order them based on the codes I'm giving you if you were interested in any of these shades. So let's go ahead and swatch these Juicy Pang blushers, and I'll let you know the shade names from the swatches. I looked up all the shade names. This first one is OR01. It's the shade Apricot. The second shade is CR01. It's the shade Peach. The third shade is CR02, Persimmon. The fourth shade is BE01, Fig. The fifth shade is PK03, Guava. The sixth shade is VL03, Mulberry. The seventh shade is VL02, Blueberry. And the eighth shade is VL01, Grape. I think these are all so beautiful. So I've arranged my cream blushes into these two bins. Hopefully they fit in my drawers correctly. I don't even know. I might have to redo things again, but I wanted to try to like figure something out for now. And then so far, these are the ones we're decluttering. I put the maybes in there too, because honestly, I'm not gonna reach for these colors that much. And I do have that one Kosas blush. So I'm fairly certain those maybes are gonna get decluttered, but let's go ahead and move on to powders. So to kick off the powder category, I figured we'll start with the face palettes. These are all palettes I really, really like and think are unique and beautiful, enjoy the formulas, but I also want my drawer to be more functional. So these may end up out on top of my cabinet, but getting back to the blush palettes, I have two here from Alamar Cosmetics. I have the Colourpop Blush Trio in Fair Light with the shades Castaway, Paradiso, and Scorcher. This was one I considered decluttering, not because it's not great, but because I really hardly ever reach for it. But I also feel like I haven't given this product a real fair chance, so I do want to hang on to this for a bit longer. The other one I have is the Colourpop Blush Trio in the shade Dark Rich with shades Deserted, Oasis, and Candela. This is a really beautiful blush palette. I think these shades are really unique. I used this for a glam vampy look collaboration with my friend Regina from Makeover My Life. I think these colors are really gorgeous and they're very unique to my collection, so I would almost rather hang on to the deep palette than the Fair Light palette, just because I feel like these are a little bit more common. But for now, I'm going to hang on to both of them because, like I said, I don't feel like I've given this one a fair chance, and I feel like this one's really unique to my collection. I also have the Fairy Blush palette from Likely Makeup. This is another really unique palette. It's not one that I reach for very often, but I don't have any purple or green blushes in my collection. I also have heard such good things about the Sunstone blush. I need to try this more. And then obviously this little pink blush it's really cute. I think as we're going into spring, this could be really fun to play with. It could also be really fun if I want to go out of the box and do like a really creative look, something maybe monochromatic. So I'm gonna hang on to this one, and the packaging is so beautiful. Out of all of my blush palettes, this one's probably my favorite. This is the Island Time blush palette from Ofra Cosmetics. I love all of these blush tones with the exception of maybe this pink one. This highlighter in Bali is absolutely stunning. So I'm for sure hanging on to this blush palette. Next we have the Jouer Bouquet d'Amour blush palette, and this one is absolutely stunning. Jouer has such a beautiful blush formula, and I really like the shade selection in this palette. I think it's really, really pretty. Let's kind of move to some of these in the front. I have an Hourglass blush quad with all of these gorgeous tones. I also have this NARS blush palette. This is the Exposed Cheek palette, and I've actually taken this one traveling with me because it's pretty sturdy. I bought this full price. I think it was like $65. And even though I don't use this that often, I think it would burn me to declutter my NARS blushes. NARS is such a fantastic cosmetics brand. I really love their products so much. And I do want to try to get better use out of this one. Maybe if I pull my face palettes out, maybe I'll see them more often and subsequently reach for them more. I also have my Pat McGrath Bridgerton blush palette. It's also got a little highlighter in it. I have not even swatched this one yet or used it. I'm very excited for this beautiful Nymphette shade in the center. I'm really excited to try a Pat McGrath highlighter. And this pink tone, as you saw from my collection, I don't have a ton of these pinky tones because I don't wear them that often. So to have one in Pat McGrath's formula, I'm sure I'll find a nice use for it. Then we have this Juvia's Place, the Saharan Blush Palette Volume 2. I considered decluttering this one just because I haven't reached for this in a while. And then I swatched it and I was like, absolutely not. This is staying with me, if nothing else, but for this Sola shade. It is so, so pretty. And all of the tones in this palette are really beautiful. I can wear all of them, so I'm going to hang on to this beautiful palette from Juvia's Place. I also have two here from Natasha Denona. I have the Love Glow palette, which has a cream product and then some shimmery highlighter slash cheek toppers. And I also have the Bloom palette, which also has two cream blushes and then highlighter slash blush toppers. Also from Natasha Denona, I have the Diamond and Blush palette. This is in Daria, and this has a cream blush at the top, and then 2 highlighters, and then at the bottom you've got a powder blush and 2 highlighters. These are so pretty. I love playing with this palette. And then one of my favorite blush palettes is from Beige Cosmetics. This is the Glowing in Grease palette. In here you have 3 blushes and 3 highlighters, though I use them pretty much all as blushes. This one could be a pretty highlighter, but the other highlighters are too deep for me. We already spoke about the Seraphine Botanicals Rhubarb and Rose Creamy Lip and Cheek palette. I also have the Arthurine blush palette from Menagerie Cosmetics. This is not my favorite blush formula, but the shades in here are so unique. Obviously the packaging is beautiful. I'm a huge fan of Menagerie, so this is definitely not going anywhere. And then my last blush palette is from OPV Beauty. This is the Born to Shine blush palette. These tones are so gorgeous. You've got 2 shimmery blushes and the rest are matte, but I think these colors are exquisite. I think this is such a beautiful palette and so fun. Okay, so we are now at the portion of the video I have been dreading, my powder blushes. I am looking over all of these. I don't see any of them that I want to get rid of, but I don't know that just removing my face palettes from that drawer is going to give me enough room to fit all of these blushes. So I think we need to go through these. So I think for the powder blushes, we should follow a similar model to what we did with the cream blushes. And that is to start with some that I know I'm not going to declutter. The first one I see is this one from Dior. This is the Dior Backstage Rosy Glow Blush in 001 Pink. And here is the Dior Rosy Glow Blush. Next I have one from Chantecaille. This is the cheek shade in Smitten. It's the Elephant Blush, and it's so beautiful. I've never even swatched this one. And there's the shade Smitten. Next we have a Laura Mercier blush in Grapefruit, and wow, that is like a beautiful watermelon shade, very unique to my collection. Next we have one from Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Seduce Blush Pretty Youth Glow Filter. It's got a highlighter and a blush. And I think you're intended to sort of swipe across and then just put your highlighter and blush on at the same time. Surprisingly, I'm actually going to declutter this one. It makes me really sad because I've barely used it. I picked this up on a Black Friday sale, and this formula is just terrible. It's kind of like a cream formula. When you go to swatch it, do you see what happens? It crumbles. It doesn't blend, it streaks. And when you can finally get the streaks away, where's the color? It's terrible. Decluttered. Next I have the Nabla Skin Glazing Glass Skin Finish Glow Powder in the shade Truth. And that is such a beautiful coral color. Next we have the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Cheek to Chic in Pillow Talk Intense. And that is the ring shade and the center shade of this blush, very beautiful. Next we have the Patrick Ta blush in She's Seductive. And that is She's Seductive. We have the Patrick Ta She's So LA. And this is the cream side and the powder side. We have one here from Hermes in Rose Tan, and that is the shade Rose Tan. Next we have the Pat McGrath Labs Skin Fetish Divine Blush in Divine Rose, and that is the shade Divine Rose. Next we have the Valentino Beauty Eye to Cheek Dual Use Blush and Shadow in the shade 4. That has a really beautiful sheen. Next we have the Natasha Denona Duo Glow in the shade Alba. That is a beautiful coral blush with like a duochrome gold and peach flip. And then the last one from this little bin is from Tom Ford. This is the Tom Ford Skin Illuminating Powder Duo in 07 Incandescent. And here we have the highlighter at the top and the blush at the bottom. These are so beautiful. Next, let's move into these Hourglass blushes because I'm fairly certain I'm not going to declutter any of these. And I do have 5 of these blushes. So we've got Ethereal Glow, Incandescent Electra, Dim Infusion, Diffused Heat, and Luminous Flush. To be honest, I'm kind of considering decluttering Ethereal Glow because it's such a weird light lavender pink. But I think I want to try it before completely ruling it out. So I'm going to hang on to all of these for now. So then this little tray will hold all of my, I guess, like luxury blushes in my collection. So in looking at my drawer, I put some of the containers back in to kind of see what I was working with in terms of space. We have the luxury blushes in one of these little like clear plastic trays, different color, but same size. And I believe I can fit about 4 across the back of my drawer. So right now we only have about 3 more of these to fill. So let's start with these Cover FX blushes. I have 4 of them in Sweet Mulberry, Warm Honey, Pink Dahlia, and Soft Peach. So we have Soft Peach, both the matte and shimmer shades. We have Pink Dahlia, matte and shimmer. We have Warm Honey, matte and shimmer. And we have Sweet Mulberry, matte and shimmer. I want to keep all 4 of these. Another definite keep I think would have to be NARS Orgasm. I mean, how can I not? This is such a classic. And there is NARS Orgasm. Another one that I know I love is this Down Boy blush from the Balm. This is such a beautiful lilac-y cool tone pink. I wear this so often. I think it's such a pretty blush tone. Next, let's look at these ones from Ofra. Now these are a little bit too big to fit the way they're supposed to in these little containers. So I may leave these out of the containers and just put them in the drawer. They're kind of thick with 2 C's and I think they can stand up on their own. For sure, 1,000,000,000,000,000%, I will never ever get rid of the Ofra by Samantha March Blush Duo in Chiclet, and this will be in my collection forever. This is going to the grave with my ass. Then I also have this Ofra Duo. This is the Crew Blush Bronzer Duo Compact. It's a very pretty compact with like a peachy blush and this pretty bronzer. I've only used this one time, but I did buy this when it first launched for full price, so I would actually like to get some more use out of it and just get to know it a little bit better, and then maybe from there I'll see if it's something I want to hang on to. But for now, I definitely want to keep it. And this is the Chiclet Blush Duo. And then this is the Crew Bronzer and Blush. I also have this Georgia shade from Benefit. I've never even gotten to try this yet. I wanted to pick this up when it was first released. I have not even gotten to use this. I definitely want to try this. And now after swatching it, it almost looks like a peachy gold highlighter. I'm really surprised at how fair this is. It may be something I end up decluttering down the road because I don't know if that's even going to show up on me, but I want to try it out first. So I'm going to hang on to it for now. Next, let's look at this NARS blush. Again, this is like one of those pinky shades that I'm not super drawn to. This is the NARS Dual Intensity Blush in Adoration. I think I'm gonna hang on to this for now, but I may end up decluttering this one and this Georgia Peach if I don't have enough room for ones I might like better. I noticed that we were missing a clip involving these blushes. So let's go ahead and start with the Kylie blush. This is the Kylie Pressed Blush Powder in Close to Perfect, and that is Close to Perfect swatched. This is a keep. We have the Kosas Contra Chroma Color and Light Pressed Blush and Highlighter, and that is the blush and highlighter swatched. This is a keep. We also have the Kosas Papaya 1972 Color and Light Pressed Blush and Highlighter, and this is the blush and highlighter swatch. This is a keep. Then we have the Urban Decay Afterglow 8-Hour Powder Blush in the shade Video, and here is the swatch. This is a keep. And lastly, we have the Urban Decay Afterglow 8-Hour Powder Blush in the shade Fetish. And here is the swatch. This is a keep. All right, y'all, and that is now 2 of these little bins filled up. We only have 2 more to go. So now let's look at some like circular shaped blushes. First, I have 5 from Becca. I have Flower Child, Wild Honey, Songbird, Snapdragon, and Camellia. So we have Flower Child, Wild Honey, Songbird, Snapdragon, and Camellia. Becca definitely has one of my favorite blush formulas, but these 3 shades look kind of similar to one another. So I'm going to keep them for now, but we will reevaluate if I run out of space. Next, let's look at these 2 MAC blushes. I have Melba and Blush Baby. Melba and Blush Baby. Next, we have these 2 from Buxom. These are the Wanderlust Primer Infused Blushes in Mykonos and Seychelles. And this one is Seychelles, and this one is Mykonos. And then we have these 2 from Clinique. These are the Cheek Pop Blush Pops in Pansy Pop and Pink Honey Pop. And this one is Pink Honey Pop, and this one is Pansy Pop. I'm also definitely really interested in this Persona blush. This is in the shade Caramel, and that is the shade Caramel. And then I think the last 2 I'm gonna select out before we get to the very last container, which means we're gonna pretty much have to declutter half of like what's left, I think. I think I want to pull out these 2 Lorac blushes. I have Spectra and Prism, and we have Spectra and Prism. And while Lorac may not be like the most popular brand anymore, these blushes I think are so beautiful. I have to keep them. All right, y'all, so that's our 3rd container. We have 1 left to fill. So for this last section, I think I'm gonna play like a little game. It's gonna be called Keep One, Lose One. Here's my declutter box. It's a very sad state of affairs. Here is all the space I have left in my drawer, essentially. So, okay, here we go. One I want to keep is this Laura Geller Baked Gelato Vivid Swirl Blush in Papaya. I bought this in New York, and I had been looking for this blush for so long. I saw it in some TJ Maxx videos, and I'm like, I want to find that, and I found it in one of the New York TJ Maxxes. I think the one on like 52nd Street or something like that. This one has happy memories for me. It was something I wanted for the longest, and it's such a beautiful coral shade. So that's going to be a keep. Let's next look at this Too Faced, because this is also a coral shade. This is the Too Faced Love Flush Blush in the shade How Deep Is Your Love. These colors are really similar, but I think the Laura Geller has a much better formula. Declutter. The next blush I know I want to keep is another Laura Geller. It is the shade Sunswept. When I pulled this from my Shop My Stash, I wore this like 5 different times, and I wasn't even using my makeup that much. I use this one so often, so I think it's got to be a keep. And that is the shade Sunswept. And I think I'll choose to declutter maybe this Mented blush. This is a really beautiful blush. It is the Peach for the Stars blush. And while this is a really pretty orange tone, I think if I was reaching for an orange blush, I would go to my Jouer palette, to this orange shade. And I just think I'd rather use that if I'm looking for an orange tone. So we'll declutter this one. Another one I think I want to keep is this Bare Minerals in Let's Go Nude. And that is the shade Let's Go Nude. It's just such a soft neutral blush, and I don't have a ton of these. So I think I want to keep this one. And I think that means I'll declutter this other Bare Minerals blush in that peach though. I used to have more of these, but I got down to just these two, my two favorites. But it's just like a really soft peach. It doesn't show up that well, and I do have other peach blushes that I can use. Decluttered. Another one I'm pretty sure I want to keep is this one from Laura Geller. This is the Baked Blush and Brighten in Apricot Berry. This is a gorgeous, like shimmering, purpley pink tone, kind of mauvey and just gorgeous, very pearlescent. And I think the one I'll declutter is this one by Laura Geller. This is in the shade Catalina. This is really beautiful, but I already have 3 Laura Geller blushes, so I think I can let this one go. On second thought, that's really pretty. Let's see what else. Okay, how about this Butter blush? This is in Vintage Rouge. This is such a beautiful blush. I absolutely love the Butter formula, but I honestly haven't reached for this one in a while, and I think I can let it go. Decluttered. So if we're keeping Catalina, what else can we get rid of? Honestly, I have kept this Anastasia Beverly Hills blush through so many declutters. I never, ever, 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 ever use this. Let's swatch it. So out of this palette, the only one that I think looks kind of unique to my collection is this sort of cantaloupe orange shade. Is it finally time? This is a hard one. I think I'm gonna let it go. Let's look at Illuminoso from Milani. This is such a cult classic. And that color is kind of close to the cantaloupe color that I said was kind of unique. And this is a really pretty formula. It's very glowy and shimmery. Keep. And let's also swatch this Milani one while we're at it. This is the Blossom Time Rose blush. This one breaks my heart. It was in my very first ever favorites video back in 2019 when I first started my channel. And I love this blush so much, but I haven't used it in forever. And this one actually looks like a prettier version than that first shade in the Beige palette. I really want to hang on to this one. It makes me sad the thought of decluttering it. But that means I need to get rid of 2 other blushes. This was the collaboration with Kathleen Lights. I think it's I Need Space and Lunar Has It. So we have the I Need Space and Lunar Has It blushes. I don't know which is what. I'm going to declutter these. Another one I know I have to keep is from NYX. This is the Sweet Cheek blush in Silence is Golden. This is the most beautiful yellow blush. It's so pretty for like blush draping. And I actually have used this in some fun looks. Let's go ahead and swatch the other NYX I have in Citrine Rose. And that one is so beautiful. Okay. Which 2 can I get rid of? Is it finally time for these Essence blushes? These are so pretty and they don't make them anymore. I think they were like $3 each. They're such gorgeous tones. Let's swatch these. Oh, I don't know, guys. They might be too beautiful. I think I have to keep them. Let's take a look at this KKW blush. This is in the shade Grace. And that's like a really light tone, but it's so pretty. It's got like a little bit of like a satin finish, nothing shimmery, but it's like a perfect little nudie, peachy, baby pink shade. It's so pretty. All right, y'all, we are getting down to the end. Okay, I might be able to part with these Too Faced blushes. They're such beautiful packaging. I wanted these for forever, unless I can get these to stand up on their own. Let's swatch them. And here are the swatches for the 3 Too Faced blushes. We have Pomegranate. I'm gonna go ahead and hang on to this. We have Like My Melons. I'm also gonna hang on to this. And we have Papaya Pop. I'm gonna hang on to this. So these blushes will go in one of the little containers. I actually have quite a bit of space left in my drawer, so I'm just gonna set these next to the Ofra blushes, just standing on their own. And that leaves us with these 3 blushes and only 2 spots left. We have the Flower Beauty Flower Pots Powder Blush in Peach Primrose. We have the Flower Beauty Flower Pots Powder Blush in Warm Hibiscus. And we have the Ciate London Marbled Light Blush in Halo. So we have Peach Primrose, Warm Hibiscus, and the Ciate blush in Halo. So since I can only keep 2, I think I'm going to keep the Flower Beauty in Peach Primrose and the Ciate London Halo. And I'm going to go ahead and declutter Warm Hibiscus from Flower Beauty. I also decided to rescue the Benefit Georgia blush. I honestly wanted to try this for so long, and I'd like to at least try it on my face and not just declutter it based on a swatch. I have the space and I want to try it. but it's curtains for the rest of those blushes. And then here is an overview of all of the blushes I will be decluttering. I know it doesn't look like much, but I am really proud of myself. I comb through my collection often and get rid of products that I'm not interested in. I just don't typically do them on camera. I thought my blush collection was down to what it was going to be, but with adding more blushes, it meant I had to get rid of other ones that I truly wanted to get more use out of or wanted to try. And that's where over-consumerism really bites you in the butt. It's a waste of money, but I'm happy that my drawer now looks so much better. I have a lot more space. I can see all the products, and I feel like I will get better use out of them now when I can actually have a better visual into what I have in my collection. And I cannot wait to show you guys how the drawer looks now. So are y'all ready for this reveal? Oh my goodness, what a huge difference. Drum roll. Here is the new blush drawer. How much better does that look? I'm so excited. Everything is neat and organized. I can easily find all of my cream blushes right here and right here. We've got our little tubes and sticks, and then these are mostly compacts. We have the Ofra blushes, the Too Faced blushes, and the little rescued Georgia blush. You can see I still have plenty of room here that I do not plan to fill up. And then in the back, we have the powder blushes. We have the luxury blushes here. I can easily get to them all and see them. We have some of my favorite little square compacts. We have some of my favorite little circular compacts. And then this is the last one that we put together in its glory. I was actually wrong. You see I have this little Saturday Skin. This is just a cleanser empty box. I took the cleanser out of it so that I could use the outer carton. Because I was actually wrong, it was just a little shy of how wide this drawer was, but it was just wide enough to slide the Saturday Skin box back here. These circular compacts don't take up the entire tray. So I just slid these on top of the cleanser box. It gave me like the 1/4 of an inch I needed to fit all 4 of these in here. I think this looks so much better. I feel excited to shop my stash. I feel excited that I can see all these blushes and pick from them easily. Each of these trays is so easy to remove and to pick out what I need. I can fit my arm all the way back. There's not stuff layered on top of each other. All of the palettes are out of this drawer so that hopefully I will get better use out of them. I just cannot get over how much better this looks. I hope you guys are excited too. And lastly, I placed my blush palettes just on top of my Alex 5 drawer with all of my little pretty packaging I like to display. And while this maybe isn't ideal, it'll work. And it's worth it to have these palettes out if it means my blush drawer can be so beautiful and functional. That was my blush collection and declutter. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I was so excited at how the drawer turned out. We are making progress in 2022. I'm so here for it. I thank you all so much for being here with me today. I love you all so much, and until the next video. Bye-bye.